Now we can see what follows logically from the logical reasoning section on the LSAT. We're still using the June 2007 LSAT that's available for free as a PDF file from lsac.org. We're in section 3 and we're going to question 22. This was question 22 out of 25, and you had 35 minutes to answer these 25 questions, which means you would have encountered this question in the last 5 minutes of your section time. We read the question first. Which one of the following statements follows logically from the statements above? So this means we have to read all of the statements, and then when we explain our answer, we're going to have to use at least 2 of the statements in our explanation, because that's what the question asks us. It first tells us if the price it pays for coffee beans continues to increase. If that continues to increase, then the coffee shop will have to increase its prices. So they will have to increase the price. In that case, either the coffee shop will begin to selling non-coffee products, or its coffee sales will decrease. But selling non-coffee products will decrease the company's overall profitability. So if that happens, we decrease the overall profitability. Moreover, the coffee shop can avoid a decrease in overall profitability only if its coffee sales do not decrease. This is where the nerds try to confuse us. But we don't have a situation of the coffee sales not decreasing. We have a situation where the coffee sales are decreasing. So that means that the overall profitability has to go down, because they just told us the only way they can avoid decreasing their profitability is if the coffee sales do not go down, and this didn't happen. So we have the same result either way. The profitability goes down. Now we look at our answers. And I would have looked at answers A and B for a long time, because they begin the same way, and we know that they wrote the right answer first and then they disguised it. And they both have commas, so they're complex answers and they have some structure to them. But the structure is the problem in both of them. They both begin with if the coffee shop's overall profitability decreases, and we realize that this is at the end of our if statements. It's not at the beginning of our if statements. And so everything we would be doing would be what we call the reciprocity trap, what the Law School Admission Council once called initiating the consequent. You decide. Look at answer A. If the coffee shop's overall profitability decreases, the price it pays for coffee beans will have continued to increase. And that's totally backwards. We're starting with the if here and ending with a then there. That's the reciprocity trap. Answer B is more attractive. It says if the coffee shop's overall profitability decreases, either it will have begun selling non-coffee products or its coffee sales will have decreased. It looks like they've covered up both of those situations, but they forgot that there might be another way that they could decrease their profitability. They could hire me to run their coffee shop. That'd sure decrease their profitability. So those aren't the only 2 ways, and answer B suggests that they were the only 2 ways. Now look at answer C. The coffee shop's overall profitability will decrease if the price it pays for coffee beans continues to increase. So we start out with the coffee beans increasing, we go here, and we end up with profitability decreasing both times. Answer C is right. What the nerds did is they switched around the if-then statement, so the if was in the middle of answer C, but once we straighten it out, we had the if for the coffee beans increasing and the then with the profitability going down. Now look at answer C, and then look at D and E. They just had to fill up the answer grid. D. The price it pays for coffee beans cannot decrease without the coffee shop's overall profitability also decreasing. There's nothing about decreasing here. That's way off base. Answer E. Either the price it pays for coffee beans will continue to increase or the coffee shop's sales will increase. And those are alternate to each other. And if we just think about it a minute, why doesn't everything just stay the same? It doesn't have to keep increasing and decreasing. It could just be the same, and we can avoid all these logical errors. We don't have to give names to the logical errors, we just have to avoid them. And pick our answer C. Now we can look for some more logical support on the logical reasoning section of the LSAT. We're still using the June 2007 LSAT that's available as a PDF file for free if you download it from lsac.org. Now we're in section 2, which is talking about question 18. And of course we read the question first. The information above provides the most support for which of the following statements? So here again we have to read the entire passage and then we have to connect up things in the passage, and this is what's interesting about this question. It tells us that modern science is built on the process of posing hypotheses and testing them against observations. And then it says, in essence, attempting to show that the hypotheses are incorrect. So they're trying to show that these hypotheses are incorrect. Nothing brings more recognition than overthrowing conventional wisdom. And that's like getting rid of this hypothesis. And if you do that, you're going to get the most recognition you could possibly have, because nobody gives more recognition than overthrowing conventional wisdom. Now the passage shifts gears. It gets more specific. It's accordingly unsurprising that some scientists are skeptical of the widely accepted view of global warming. So this sounds like our conventional wisdom, and some scientists are skeptical. What is instead remarkable is with that the hundreds of researchers, there are all these people here, all these people, all of these hundreds of researchers are striving to make breakthroughs in climatology. Very few find evidence that global warming is unlikely, so they don't have any observations to show me that global warming is unlikely. Now let's look at the answers. We have A and B that talk about most scientists and most researchers, and even though they're people answers, they're actually sort of a pair at this point. Most scientists who are reluctant to accept the global warming hypothesis are not acting in accordance with the accepted standards of scientific debate. Well, we don't know anything about these people, and we certainly don't know what the accepted standards of scientific debate are. Answer B. Most researchers in climatology, a bunch of these people, have substantial motive to find evidence that would discredit the global warming hypothesis. They would like to get this evidence to disprove the global warming, because that would be overthrowing conventional wisdom, and that would be recognition which is known as a substantial motive. I have to go from the specifics here to the general there. I need to connect up at least two of the statements to justify my answer B. Now let's look at C. There is evidence that conclusively shows that global warming hypothesis is true. Well, all they said is they didn't have evidence to show me that it wasn't true, and they had very little evidence. But they didn't say it was conclusively showing. Those ly words are adverbs that editors can stick into answers. Read the answer with and without the ly word and see what difference it makes. When they put conclusively in, that made that answer harder to pick. Same thing with answer D. Scientists who are skeptical about global warming have not offered any alternative hypotheses to explain the climatological data. We don't know anything about these people. We just know that they're skeptical. We don't know about any hypotheses that they might have produced. That's an extreme editor's word. In answer E, research in global warming is primarily driven by a desire for recognition in the scientific community. It's nice to have that answer because it's playing off of the same thing about the research and the recognition, but we have to justify the word primarily. That's our editor's word, and that makes that answer too extreme. We want to pick an answer that's easy to justify. Testing for the public. Nonprofit since 1985. Nobody makes things easier.